Well, that's right, and that's why the intensity encouragement from the Commonwealth has always been how we keep free movement of people and goods going between states. Now, states have entered into mutual agreements in some cases, say, for instance, New South Wales and Victoria, but other states are being, shall we say, a bit more dogged in their approach in terms of keeping barriers closed or borders closed. We ultimately want to see Australia return to a new COVID normal so that we can get the economy back up, livelihoods back up, and also, of course, protect lives at the same time.
International arrival caps increasing from today. It's a good start.
That's right, and this is something the Commonwealth has driven with the states because there are still Australians stranded overseas now, in many cases for many months. Citizens wanting to return home, and it's good to see the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister having driven this agenda to put some pressure on the states so that we can get more Australians home safe, in quarantine, and returning to their friends and family.
Do you think, speaking of international flights, this bubble between New Zealand, I know these conversations are going between Jacinda Ardern and Scott Morrison, do you really expect that to happen before Christmas?
Well, I'm an optimist. I saw the boss there in New Zealand said probably not until March next year. So we've got to do what's safe and proportionate to keep Australia's health protected while also trying to create a pathway for as much integration back into the global economy as possible. So I'm heartened by the fact that the conversations have been happening. I'm heartened by the fact that there's a willingness and a spirit where New Zealand and Australia can get ahead with it. But in the end, it's going to come down to the detail. It's going to come down to case numbers, including, of course, my own home state of Victoria.
OK, well, just on that, curfew's finished. It's all over. Restrictions are easing. What do you make of it so far? And do you have any criticisms? We had the hospitality sector on the show a little bit earlier, the Australian Retailers Association. They're a bit miffed that they haven't been included. They got to wait a little bit longer, and that's going to cost jobs. What's your view of things?
Well, firstly, it isn't over at all. I mean, the curfew was removed, I think, because Daniel Andrews and his government were going to be put under the microscope in the Supreme Court this morning over the curfew, and they decided to scrap it probably because their legal advice said that their curfew was illegal and certainly would have violated people's rights and freedoms. But we all want to see an opening up of pubs and returning to some new COVID normal as soon as possible. I would have liked to see some steps taken further, but ultimately these are decisions for the Premier. But we know that there are so many people who work in hospitality who are depending on a job for their lifeline and their livelihoods, and the sooner that pathway can be presented, the better. And if not, then the Premier has a responsibility to support and assist from the state budget those businesses and those workers who are being impacted.
Okay.